Hello and welcome to the Stock Planner channel. Doing my weekend prep, and I'll go over the SPY, the Qs, the RUT, several of the so-called FANG stocks, and 4, 5, 6 stocks that I'm keeping my eye out for next week as part of my trading plan. Without wasting time, I want to tell you that the Stock Planner channel is an education channel, and we share our ideas. I share them on Discord and through the YouTube channel. And hopefully receiving feedback from you improves my trading. I know that since I did the YouTube videos and getting feedback, my trading has gotten better. I recommend that each beginner trader start engaging, do some paper trading, start now, even though if you don't know anything, it's only paper, and begin trading. Well, without too much talk, let's get started, but you must do your own due diligence. So these are not recommendations. Doing my weekend prep, the first thing I look at is FinViz, and we can see that the Dow and the S&P 500 really didn't move that much. It was mixed. The Nasdaq did have a good day, and we can see a lot of green, but we see some mixtures as well, especially in the healthcare department. FinViz is famous for their maps. 1 day performance, 1 week performance, doesn't look like a bad week. 1 month, again, doesn't look too bad. We should see some change here. Yes, the techs. Amazon, Google, Telsa, I guess it's pronounced Tesla, Microsoft, Visa, MasterCard, groups. 1 day, lots of green. Healthcare, utilities, not so good. These are ones useful that normally do well in a recession. 1 week, technology had a better week. 1 month, technology dropped in 3 months. The SPY, S&P 500, down channel, top of the down channel. Are we still in a downtrend? I still think we are. The Russell, pretty much the same. Technology, the Qs, Nasdaq, pretty much the same downward channel. The job of a swing trader is to see and detect when that channel is changing. And this is a double bottom, and we had some nice move up. Using TradingView on the weekly time frame, where each bar is a week's worth of data, and re-looking at the SPY, the S&P 500, we can see that the last 4 or 5 weeks we are in an uptrend for the S&P, whereas we were in a downtrend. And if you go out a little further, we can see that this has been a steady downtrend since around November, January time frame. It's January. And I've drawn about where I thought the downtrend started using RSI indicator, and where the uptrend started using the RSI indicator. This is when it's oversold and come back around. Because the job of the swing trader is to predict these moves, these swings, these change in directions, and then to capitalize on the trend in between it. So it looks like if you bought here, 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 and here, over the last 4 weeks, you'd have a winner on your hands. Most likely, the Qs are the same way. Yes, last 4 weeks, big move this week, an even bigger move for the RUT, the Russell 2000. If you're a beginner trader, and by the way, I call this watch list a beginner watch list because it really there's all the name brand stocks and ones that swing pretty good, but there's really no $3 and $4 stocks on here. If you're a beginner, being able to predict the trend, the overall trend, it is a long ways to winning. And the other key element, of course, is the risk management, but being able to predict the overall trend and staying in a little while longer, even if your trade is starting to turn a little bit against you. Taking lots of little profits will eat you up if you have that one big loss. That's what blows accounts up. Still in the weekly time frame, Amazon had a good week, but I believe the trend is continuing down. And if you believe that, a mean reversion trader will go short. The RSI went long, and if you follow that, you'll be losing some money. Is inflation, recession, our political situation, our supply chain issues, Ukraine, China, and the Chinese economy, Russia and the Russian economy, is that going to change the fortunes of Amazon? Indicators say up, trend says down. Google, I have a feeling Google's going to be laying some people off. Facebook planning to lay off 11,000 employees. Meta, even though Twitter's no longer traded, Twitter's laying off. Is that a sign? I think headwinds are ahead. The weekly says we're still in a downtrend for Google. Indicators say up for Tesla. The trend's still showing down. The reversal didn't happen. The RSI will come back around. That's a time for reversal, but it's not happening now. Downward trend for Microsoft. Good week. The reversal was predicted back here by the indicators. And again here. Apple. Indicators said should reverse there. And of course, maybe here. And maybe it's doing it. But we're in a downtrend. Ooh boy. Meta. Enough said. Had a good week. I wouldn't bet on it. CRISPR. Everybody's trading this. Had a good week. I opened a trade back here. And it's paid off. Netflix. Expected to move. And I expected it to move down. And it doesn't look like it's meeting expectations. Expected it to move down here. Based on the RSI going above the 70 and coming back around. And the MACD being above the zero line. This is a gold miners, and this is the start of our commodities review. Definitely an uptrend. This is a nice solid move over the last 6 weeks. Looking at XME on the weekly time frame, XME is a copper stock, miners, and normally in a recession and inflation, this stock should go down. Less demand. That's not what's happening over the last 8 weeks. Been going up. You can see this stock swings quite nicely. Here, down here, and there's a peak here, but using the RSI to predict that, it comes a little later. And you capture that trend in between. That's what a swing trader does. As you see, the RSI is in the overbought condition and may come around. It hasn't done it. But I'll be watching this for next week. Definitely on my list. XME. And by the way, everybody's limited in funds. What I do on the weekend is pick 7, 8, 10 stocks, which I'm doing this now, looking at stocks to keep my eye out on. And when something happens during the week, I'm ready. Called do your own due diligence. And you can't be trading the whole stock market. I have other interests. People have jobs. I have a business. We got doctor's appointments, picking up children at the schools. You got life. You have to be ready in the stock market. And after last week, I don't know. As I told you earlier in the week, I recommended Netflix, and it hasn't done what it should do. And I'm going to tell you another story here about AMD. Looking at AMD on the weekly, I thought that even though the stock has been going up, I thought it was going to go down. And you can see this past week, about Wednesday, it went and shot up. Let's go to the daily time frame. Here was the RSI, overbought, and I thought it was going to go down. That would have been right about there. And sure enough, Stock Planner was right. And then something happened on Thursday, and it just shot to the moon. I think it was around 15% rise. What a mistake. Now the RSI is in the overbought condition again, but it hasn't come back around. But I still think we have some downside. If that happens, I'll take another short. I hate to lose. Everybody does. I gotta let this one go. AMD, still on my list to watch for this next week. Not happy. Lots of traders have been losing in gold for a long time. I have a long-term position in Kinross Gold, losing for more than a year. This makes me happy. RSI says we're in the overbought situation. I don't know how long it's going to last. This is an ETF, GLD. It's worth keeping your eye out on. This is XLE. It's oil, and I have no recommendations. You get a top here and a top there. A lot of people say when you have a double top, that's an indication that it might reverse itself. RSI is in the overbought situation. Keeping an eye out. Oil is tricky. No recommendation here. On my list for next week. As you can see, I work from a list, a watch list, and oftentimes I'll switch to the scanner and look for the RSI being overbought. And we have Caterpillar here, 8-week high, looking for reversals. Boeing, same situation. If there's a global recession, these stocks are going to be hit. And John Deere, all in the overbought situation. It's worth keeping an eye out. And the last stock is Amazon. Clicking on your filter, you can see these are my watch list. It's a beginner watch list. It's about 40 stocks of what I think the beginner should be investing in. And then I filtered it on that same orange color. Okay, I set all these to be orange and then filtered it. That way I can scan from a watch list Very, very important. Instead of scanning the whole universe of 7,000 stocks, I only pick the ones I know. My universe is about 140 stocks. Anyway, you see Tesla, very much oversold. Meta, nobody likes Meta, although this past week, last 2 days, it looked like it did some good. And here's Amazon. Amazon's worth watching. Coming off its lows, will it rise? To repeat, I'm looking at XME, gold, GLD. I'm looking at XLE for oil, Caterpillar, Amazon, AMD, and Netflix. And it's also worthwhile looking at Merck. It's a drug, healthcare company. Follow on my Discord for more detail on some of these trades that I'm looking at. Well, that's all I got for you today. Do your own due diligence, develop your own strategy, learn from YouTube, and win. Happy trading. Have a good week.